more weight. So I guess what I'm saying is that the 99% must understand where their future lies and what is good for them. So the 99% must believe that only if they either become entrepreneurs or they find a job in a good competitive enterprise will they have a secure future. So if they don't believe that, then we are where we are. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that perhaps the trust. So you can talk of capitalism and democracy, and do the two go together or they don't. But irrespective of that, it is the consensus in a society. And perhaps China had it without a democracy. But definitely democracy is an exercise in building consensus, no matter what it be. So we must try to achieve a consensus which takes us to a higher level.
The vote depends upon not on program. It doesn't depend upon manifesto. It doesn't depend upon development. It depends on how much liquor you can distribute, how much money you can pay, how much. See, this is the base. The votes are being bought, and bought. I can say 2/3 of the vote at least are bought. I'm not blaming one party.
Let me like a.
This is the problem. What kind of a democracy you have? It's a vicious democracy.
Let me, like any bureaucrat, parry that question and say that, and put a counter to you that perhaps the Indian voter is not looking so much at prosperity and is more concerned about the balance of power. So the Indian voter perhaps is more concerned about equity, about his or her position in a hierarchy. And the lower he or she is, the more cumbersome it gets. And so that is more important than a job for his or her children. But I think that is changing very quickly. So I think there's hope in the future. The younger voters coming in, and they are soon going to be the vast majority. I think they want change, so let's hope for the best.
The voters are different, but to be voted are same, alright?
Sir, please.
What can happen?
It has happened for the third time. Please, sir, kindly.
Thank you. So my name is Ambassador Deepak Bora. I've spent more than half of my career, 40 years in Africa. My wife is an adopted daughter of Africa. I couldn't agree more with some of the observations you've made, but may I take the discussion to a different level and tell you how we see India from the African perspective. When we became independent in Africa in the 1960s, there was a great deal of hope, there was a great deal of excitement. We grew, the continent grew at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11%. Then came the 70s, 80s and 90s when we regressed. And it is only now in 2013 that the majority of African countries are returning to the level of prosperity that they had in 1960. Where did we go wrong? And I'll tell you where we went wrong, sir. We went wrong with this animal called democracy. We went wrong with these two rotten institutions called the World Bank and the IMF. We went wrong with the Washington Consensus that was forced on us. We had our own path to growth as India does. And when I sit in Africa and talk to people about the problems India faces, they turn around and say, you must be joking, look at the problems that we face. I'm glad that we are our own best critics. This kind of a discussion, sir, would not take place in China. Those who disagreed with the party line, you know what would happen to them. There the government would decide, give you directions. Here the people decide and seek leadership from the government. So to the younger people here, all I want to say in Hindi is, naraz ho, nirash mat ho. Because we are moving ahead in the way we feel is appropriate. India will chart its destiny, sir. We take one step forward, we take two sideways. But the overall balance since 1947 has been overwhelmingly positive. That is why, sir, in Africa, the consensus today is China is suspected India is respected. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That it makes, if I understood it correctly, so 360 degree. So although, let's say a state government won't have a competition, but just assuming one case, for example, the government of Punjab also wants to attract investment as against other states. It could be MP, it could be other states, Bihar or other states, as you mentioned, and in one of the questions also came. So I want to know that, look, for one case, assuming that these states are competitive or they are competing against one another to attract investment, so we take them in the category of firm/enterprise. So what do we do about the sum total of transactions that we make with existing businesses in the state? Do you think, we really have any hope of getting the right kind of investments in the state with the kind of transactions that we have been making for so many years? So that's the kind of
question. You're asking what is the potential, given the ecosystem of enterprises in Punjab, how will it by them? What little I can see is that we have here a very well-developed manufacturing ecosystem in Punjab. Very few other states in India have that. So not only from other states, but from other countries also. If we can get our macroeconomy right in the country, I think Punjab would be one of the leading destinations for investment in India. So, but I put that if we can get certain things right. Because if those things are not put right, then our whole country is suffering these blocks for high levels of investment. So given that we all, rise or sink together, I think and I think we're getting lots of things right, as Ambassador Bora said, that once India rises and rises faster, Punjab should, given its strength, be at the forefront of that rise.
Good evening, sir. Like the America has and the European Union has, also has an agreement between the 20 nations. So what I think is that the India also requires some free trade agreements in the future in order to promote their exports and in order to grow the industry. What are your views on
I agree entirely, but as you know, India has already signed a comprehensive economic treaty with ASEAN. So in 2 years or less than 2 years, we would be practically like any other ASEAN member as regards trade with all of ASEAN. So, and that is already impacting industry. So import competitors are being impacted negatively. For example, if you are in copper or any imported metal trade in India, the ASEAN factor is now impacting you negatively. And exporters will be impacted positively. And as I said, with the devaluation, even more positively. So some will be hurt, some will gain. That happens in free trade. So that's the first step India has taken. In South Asia, we have most favored nation treatment and very low tariff barriers with our neighbors. We've offered Pakistan and FN, it's almost 2 years. Hopefully, they will feel more confident and stable with a new civilian government and respond positively. So that's the way to go. With Africa, we have lots of bilateral agreements, but I'm sure in the next decade, Africa will work out its own African Union economic market, and then India would have a much easier way to access that multilateral framework. With the European Union, again, it's complex, because the European Union is complex, but things are moving forward. Definitely NAFTA was, for outsiders, NAFTA then in the 90s was a negative, because it was seen as well, internally in the US, I think that the Americans were more scared of Japan and China then. It's mostly China now. Japan seems to have stagnated in terms of its export potential. And NAFTA was seen as a way of responding to that and conserving jobs in North America, in Mexico, for example. But I don't think it worked too well. It has had mixed success. You don't hear of a NAFTA debate anymore in the US. So end of the day, since the whole world is moving towards free trade, and tariff barriers are now small, 4% somewhere, 6% somewhere else. Doesn't make a huge difference. What makes a huge difference is non-tariff barriers. And Indian exporters are not very good. They don't have that capacity to tackle non-tariff barriers. For example, food exports. Food barriers are notorious, especially in North America. And you have to be fairly big in India to spend the kind of money you need to get FDA clearance. So I think there's a case for government intervention where associations, government should get together and say, okay, we'll get you FDA clearance. So trade, I think the future, the government needs to look at non-tariff barriers and try to address those, because tariff barriers will soon be a thing of the past.
So right in today's paper, there was something regarding wastage of food. And we are producing the country. What is government's duty in this? After all, there is some duty of the government. We are producing extra food at a very extraordinary cost, as you said, that Punjab can be Syria after a few years. We are already almost facing that type of situation here. Now, that producing that much at the cost of our living, pehla pani jio hai, and pani we are losing. And what is going to happen? It's whose responsibility is? We are hearing almost for the last 30, 40 years. Food industry, cereal industry, nothing will go. So we take the initiative, number one. Number two question is, when we go to see these builders' flats, as you enter, there is a demo flat. Beautifully, there is a bedroom, and there is, as if you are going to dine with them, not with you here today. Can government do something like this? Ludhiana, we always call hub of industry this, and focal point is a miracle over here. I salute these people who go there, especially to his factory or somebody else. No, can we do something about it? Can government do something about it? कि कुछ तो improve हो, कुछ तो हो, या कुछ भी नहीं होगा. That's what I think. ये करता है मेरे लोग को सोचिए वो
Professor, having quoted Ronald Coase, I have to answer in the same vein, unfortunately, whether I like it or not. So, absence of markets, food wastage. We said, there's so much food here, millions of tons is going into soil, but we didn't see a single scientific silo. What are you doing? And we can give you silos. And yes, they didn't pass through Moga. But they may not have been impressed by that one either. Because what they're offering are excellent cold silos, modular, 20 by 20 feet, you can make it 100 by 100 feet, 20 feet high. And you can control the temperature in every compartment, and they can control the temperature sitting in Taipei. They said, we'll train your farmers and your operators for 5 years. And we'll control the temperature. And once they're trained, we'll hand it over to them. So that's technology, that is markets. But, so in India, Punjab, the absence of a market for food grain ensures that there's no incentive to save food, to preserve the food. And so the culprit is the MSP. So you won't like what I say, but having quoted Ronald Coase, all I can say is that if we do away with a monopoly procurement by government and have a market, we'll have a very vibrant agricultural sector in Punjab. We'll beat Israel, there's no doubt about it. We can compete with them, we can do better than them. But we are constrained because there's no market here. No Israeli will come and invest here. No Taiwanese will come and invest here. Because where's the return to him? Will the FCI pay him for this? I don't know. Will a Punjab farmer pay him? Why should he? There's no market. So that's one. That's why when he asked the question, I said, don't ask me, please ask the government. So, let's do it.